Hey guys, this is Matt for Creative. Today we're talking about giving up, and what triggered this in me is, of course, many times in my life that I have honestly chosen to give up. Given up in the past, giving up in the plural, but something that really caught my eye and made me think about this a lot was this. You may have seen videos. I've made multiple videos on this camera, my ins and outs, personal, just because of it going bad and just things not working out, and me calling this like beautiful garbage. And I ended up getting another one of these, so I actually have two of these, and I use these daily. The way the DJI marketed this, I just think was completely wrong. Calling this an action camera, don't think that was the appropriate choice. I would have called it like the DJI lifestyle, something more along that, because this is an amazing little camera. Calling it an action camera, you can immediately just see like some things don't work out. And let me just go run down that a little bit, and I'll tell you what DJI did if you don't know that already. So this part of the camera right here, this little part here inside its little case, this is waterproof. So if it's raining today outside, it's pouring rain, I use this on my bike for like as a dash cam, just for security's sake. Sometimes I put it on Instagram as like a beautiful thing, I put music to it, but this is basically a security camera that I want to use the entire time that I'm on the ride. And this thing will record for about 55 minutes in 1080p power saving mode, and that's great. But if it's raining and I've filled this up, that's saying the internal storage on here, if I fill that up and I've killed the battery, it's wet outside. This secondary portion where there are front screen modules, and just this one is a battery power module. Here I have the other one right here. These ones cannot be attached to the camera while it is wet. So you first have to clean everything off. You can't just have this attached to here and put it on, because it will get wet. It'll destroy this. It may even destroy this. I've had these things destroyed just in rain, and that's how I know it just doesn't work out. And it's disappointing too, because once I'm done with this, I want to offload the footage, because of course it's dead without any kind of connection other than, I believe it's Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or one of the two. It's using battery to offload the footage, and it just kind of kills it. So if I'm just taking this, let's say I'm going to a concert, let's say I'm doing that, I can only take it. I can't offload it quickly and upload it Instagram or anything quickly. It just doesn't work for me. But imagine you don't call it an action camera, you call it a lifestyle camera. That immediately gives this camera like a whole other connotation, where it becomes something that, let's call it like maybe a phone before all phones were waterproof. Let's call it like a camera, a point and shoot camera like this. This is not waterproof. This is not an action camera, not being marketed as such. This, I mean, of course, this is a giant lens here, but let's just say that this is just a lifestyle camera. You're going to take it on vacation, you're going to take it, but you're just going to protect it from the elements. It's not going to be like, you're not going to snowboard with it. You're not going to like do a lot of crazy stuff with it. And yeah, just marketing aside, that would have helped this camera out so much. I would have immediately started using this the way that I currently do now, protecting it, making sure that I leave battery, that I clean the contacts, I treat it like a different camera. And I think that would have made this camera succeed. Moreover, like, they had heating issues where they put this new case on, where the case was not perfect for the bottom portion. It just kind of ruined things. But that's a whole nother story. But if you know, there's a DJI Action Cam 1, which looks like a basic GoPro. I had that. It was a pretty good camera, not wide enough for me, so when I upgraded to this, I was like, okay, this is amazing. And then I went through the issues, but now, because I have grown to know how to use this camera in all its limitations, I got another one and now I use this, and I really, really appreciate the camera. By the way, quick tip, if you have this camera and you're like, this doesn't really do well too much at night, I have a quick magic fix for you. Switch to 4K, switch to 120 frames per second, and immediately, of course, you're not going to get so much light absorption, so it will darken the image, but the picture is incredibly clear. You don't get those micro shakes. You can bike with it, you can walk around, and you can create beautiful footage that is crispy, clean. It's something I recommend. Of course, that eats up the battery really quickly, and that also just, yeah, it eats up all the storage too. So that's my main tip, and that's how I've been doing these like really classic slow-mo shots at night where you just get like a very crisp and clear image. I really, really like what this has been. But if you didn't know, there's a brand new camera. It's the DJI Action 3. They've returned to the same form factor that like the first Action Cam was, where it's like lens, little body that juts out here, big screen on the back, front touch screen here too on the new one, like a GoPro basically. And that was, in a sense, DJI saying, I give up on this iteration of the camera, because GoPro releases a new camera every year. DJI did not release a new camera every year as far as I'm concerned, and maybe that's due to COVID and, you know, product restrictions and getting components and everything like that. That may have been an issue, but I felt like they really had to rush. I felt like they thought that they had to really rush out a new product because this one was not popular. By the way, this with the front-facing screen module that I have, I'm not going to reach there again. By the way, that was $520 when it came out. That's a lot. That's expensive. It's a premium thing. Over the holidays, 2022, like Christmas time, they had the full module with the front-facing screen for $229. And that's why I bought another one. And I'm kind of like kicking myself because it went up to $399, and that's a good price, not as great as the other one, but you know, this price is just, it's coming down. It's just not as popular as they thought, and they're trying to offload the stock. I will get another one if I find another one around that price, just because I do appreciate the camera a lot. But they gave up on it. They really did give up, and maybe they will create another camera like this and maybe section this off, like maybe they'll have their action line, they'll have something else, but this little module is what I love. As restrictive as it is, you have to learn how to use this, you can't overuse it, but this little thing is beautiful, and I really wish they expanded on this, because the only thing that they really took was, they took the inside components. Of course, the battery life is longer. Picture quality is the same, although in an update they made it 10-bit, so you can just do a little bit more of color grading. But they just kind of gave up on this form factor, and I really hope they come back to it, but I just don't think that they will. And that disappoints me, because I want this in my pocket. Here's the other one. You can, by the way, you can just do it like that. I want this in my pocket, because as a snapshot of like action footage, lifestyle footage, anything, I will whip this out, quickly get the shot, pan around, and then put this back in my pocket as if nothing, because hey, if I'm carrying two, it's this size. If I'm literally carrying one, it may even fit in that tiny little pocket, you know, that jeans have. That's an amazing thing, because not all the time do I want to pull out the camera or pull out the professional camera. Sometimes I just want this that has impeccable video quality. For Instagram, for YouTube, this does it exactly right. Of course, you know that I shoot these with a little bit more like practical cameras. This is a Canon M100 mirrorless camera, and it just, you know, this is all I need for here. But if you're outside, it's so easy to just extend. You can do a vlog, you can do TikTok, or you can do YouTube orientation. It just works. It is so good. And if you know the limitations about, you know, I record in 4K 120p all the time just so I have the best quality with me, that only gives me about 20 minutes So I have to be selective, I have to choose, I have to make sure I know when I'm doing this. And of course, for the long rides, I can't shoot like that. I have to shoot in 1080p power saving mode just to make sure that I have enough to be usable. Whereas the new camera, of course, in its larger form factor, it can record in longer durations for 4K 120p, which would be great, but then the body is bigger. I'm not about going back and doing something that does work, but I'm just not about going back. You gotta move forward and see what works and pull out what works and get rid of what didn't. The form factor is tiny. Maybe you remember the GoPro Session and it was a little bit more boxy. I would be fine if maybe they just made it a little bit bigger, because, all right, I am gonna pull this one out here. For example, the front-facing screen, you can see how that juts out a little bit just because it's bigger. The power module is skinnier here, so it does match this up here. But just give yourself that much more space. Maybe you can squeeze some more battery into it. Maybe you can double the internal storage, so even if you kill the battery and you're not killing the storage, you can still power this thing back up and just go back and start using this again and just not be capped out. It would be really, really good. Or maybe that little extra would help with heat diffusion. That would be an amazing thing, because it's still a tiny, tiny little camera just in this little module. And I really hope they make more modules like this. That would be super, super cool, because, by the way, on the new DJI Action 3, it does retain a version of this little clamp system, but the smart connector you can see right down there at the bottom, that doesn't exist. So you can't like do like a Frankensteining of the new DJI Action 3 and put this front-facing screen or extra battery. You can't do that. That just doesn't work. And I think they're trying to protect those contacts because of all the people like me complaining about its water resistance, where it just did not work. But for me, I've loved this so much, and it hurts seeing things end. When I choose to give up on something, which I try to do as rarely as possible, but of course, I'm human, I give things up. I'm disappointed. And maybe if it's something like art or video or something, and maybe somebody appreciated it, giving up on that is like an end for them, which they don't have any control over. It's in this case where I don't have any control over DJI, but I surely felt like I was putting nails in the coffin with, you know, releasing content. And whenever I talked about the camera early on, giving it really negative reviews, I think I stopped people from wanting to buy it. You know, we all have our own little spheres of influence, so I really stopped people getting that camera. But I have turned things around. Somebody's going to Vietnam for a month. I said, you get this camera because this will be the camera that'll work for you, and they got it. So hopefully that will turn things around and give people more of an appeal to get this camera again, and maybe make DJI try this out in a different iteration. Of course, I want it to work with the one I have now, so I don't have to get a brand new system, because I remember the DJI 3's clamps don't exactly work with the old one, so I would have had to get a whole new set of clamps for the bike and everything, and they wouldn't be compatible with each other fully. But yeah, if you guys like ever feel like, oh, I gotta give up, you know, it's you making that choice, and that's always a choice that you're allowed to make. But remember that you're giving up something that may have actually worked out. After all these negative reviews, still, I have given DJI money for this, I've given them money for this, and I would give them money again, because, you know, you marketed this wrong, clearly, but you really could have improved it. And I hope, again, it's a year since the 2 came out and then the 3 came out. Maybe they need a couple years to fine-tune something this fine of a product. So we'll see exactly what happens. But guys, don't give up. If you have any comments, questions, put it in the comments section below. I'm on Instagram at m8b9. You can email me at matt8b9@gmail.com. And if I were to say what's the camera that I would recommend the most right now, it is the DJI Action 2 at the current pricing. It is much better as a first camera. It's waterproof. You can just mount it pretty much anywhere. Good, really wide frame, or you can tighten it up in different settings on here. And the quality at night, you can fix that with the 4K 128 frames per second. Helps out so much. So I do recommend it now, going back. I'm leaving those old videos there, like for sure. I'm leaving those videos there. But for this, yeah, I was wrong. I just didn't know how to use it myself. Thank you guys. I'll see you next time.